Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your Ring of Honor and Impact post-show. Impact? I'm sorry. TNA post-show. Maybe the new home of Kazuchika Okada. Who knows? But my goodness, what a day of wrestling to talk about. A great episode of Ring of Honor to talk about. And the relaunch of TNA on the back end of this. Obviously, they had Snake Eyes. They are in a new era. Nic Nemeth is there. I believe you were getting Josh Alexander versus Will Ospreay today. What an amazing Thursday night of wrestling. And this isn't even the televised stuff. This is your off the beaten path stuff. And we're getting Bryan Keith versus Claudio and Ospreay versus Alexander. My goodness. Obviously, just as we were about to go live, the news about Okada broke. He is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. I wouldn't mind seeing him pop up in ROH, not gonna lie, but so many options in this crazy environment. I texted Sean and said, feel free to come on the ROH show and pop a rating if you've got any information for us. So stick around. We don't have any information at this time. I'm looking at our numbers and they are higher than usual. I'm assuming people are wondering if we have any information. At this time, we do not, but I'm sure if Sean has anything to tell us, he will pop on here and update us. But we are going to talk about, if you have questions about it, if you want a rec spec, we're more than happy to do that with you. But we're here to review Ring of Honor, which had not one, not two, but 3 title defenses on it tonight. Extremely exciting stuff. Kyle Fletcher defending for the 3rd time in 3 weeks. I love me a fighting champion. I love ROH titles being around the promotion that they represent. Wild stuff. We'll talk about the 6-man picture too, because I have mixed feelings on it, but we'll get into all of that and more on this episode of Ring of Honor. We ask you to leave a thumbs up, please, on this video. It helps people find us in our algorithm, the little show that could over here on Thursday nights, and send in those super chats. No humper chats tonight, but we will remind you to subscribe to Fightful Select, because if Sean doesn't come on here with the details, he's got them at FightfulSelect.com.
He's working.
Even if he's not the one to break news, he always finds supplementary stuff. So I think that one is very abrupt. It came out of nowhere. His contract is over the 31st, but because New Japan is not weekly episodic television, he's effectively done. And it's kind of funny because his last match was against Ospreay, and Ospreay is also leaving. So neither of them could really go out on their back, I guess. But what are you going to do? I know what we're going to do, though. We're going to talk about some Ring of Honor. Reg, what did you think of tonight's episode, and how the heck are you?
I'm doing great, Kate. You mean to tell me that our coworkers are actually showing up today to talk about TNA wrestling?
I know. Well, their month-long vacation is over there on the TNA side of things.
Lucky. Feet been kicked up for like 4 straight episodes for Cresta and Joel. I appreciate it. I'm excited to see our friends back. Happy that TNA is back. Really fun episode of Ring of Honor here today. I thought that the spirit of Ring of Honor was shining through very highly in this. Everybody that I liked was on this show, so there wasn't too many complaints from me.
We got some flipping and spinning. We got some good stuff on the show. There's still things I would like to see clarified. Your Pure Division, again, Action Andretti and Top Flight continues to be a tag team sometime, a trio other times. But overall, like, it's so refreshing to be in a place where we're nitpicking about those things and that there's not these fundamental, overwhelming things that we're complaining about every week. It's really taken shape nicely. Only took like an extra year, but we're getting there. I love to see it. So let's dive in. We thank you guys so much for the support. But we start off, we get a video package that's recapping some stuff, but we like to dive into the action here on ROH. If you want to recap, you can go look at past episodes, right? We're talking Nyla Rose and Erica Lee, who is from my neck of the woods. She's very charismatic, a ton of fun. Doesn't get a lot to talk about here, though, as she loses in fast fashion with the Beast Bomb. And later in the show, we get a really fun promo from Nyla, as one would expect from her. She's backstage with Lexi Nair, who asks why she attacked Athena, and she says that she's the new minion overlord, and that you will respect her authority, which I appreciated as a South Park fan. She is in full Cartman mode. I respect it. I think he's one of the best heels in all of television.
Definitely.
We get Nyla telling Lexi Nair, who is so phenomenal backstage. We're going to talk more about her later, as Dalton Castle was throwing cheese around her head. But she tells her that she attacked Athena to make a statement, and she's not going to stop making those statements until she wins the world title. Here's what I really like about what they're doing with Nyla and ROH. She's been called the Beast, right? The native beast. We've seen that over and over again. But on the main roster, she was just kind of being used as the title adjacent person that everybody beat on their way to the title to make people look good. Very similar to how Lance Archer is used in the men's division. I'm not saying it's a misuse of her, but I am saying it is not the height of her potential. And so to see her just coming in, chewing bitches up and spitting them out is real fun. In the same way that, or in the opposite way that I feel about Wardlow, where it's like, okay, we get it, you squash someone. I think this is actually really refreshing from Nyla, because my complaint with her was always, they talk about her being a beast and then she loses a lot. Like her coming in, being the beast and kicking people's asses feels pretty good to me, Reg. I don't know about you, but liked the squash that we got here and absolutely loved the promo because her sense of humor is just incredible.
Yeah, I think the part that I like the most about Nyla being featured on ROH is it's all 100% Nyla. They're giving us the promos, they're giving us the matches, they're giving us the funny, they're giving us the angry, like everything about Nyla we're getting here in all facets. I love her coming out and being like, I have to make a big splash in this division because there's so many women that are gunning for Athena. Athena's seen it all. So I came right into her house, put her through a door, and this is where we're going with it. Her having a great squash to start the show, them putting an emphasis on her being maybe the number one contender. You got to earn it, Nyla, a little bit harder than that. But I see where you're going. But yeah, them being her being an emphasis on being the number one contender, I like it. I think it's all great. Her and Athena are going to have a crazy match if it does happen.
I agree. I think that'll be a whole bunch of fun. And we talked about this a little bit last week, so I don't want to harp on it too much. But her picking on someone that's bigger than her, I think is going to be something that's very, very fun. We got Ricardo saying Okada's going to be number 26 in the Rumble watch. My guess is he would be AEW or TNA bound based on schedule. He has kind of said that that's a priority for him in the past. And also, leaving New Japan doesn't mean you have to leave New Japan if you go other places. Now, I don't know what relationship fell apart there. I told Reg before we went on, I honestly thought part of bringing Tanahashi in was hopeful as a way to try and retain Okada if you are New Japan. But that obviously didn't come to fruition. So if they're on good enough terms, you would hope that we would see him at a Forbidden Door or something to that effect. But hey, if he goes to WWE and dethrones Roman, why not? I
think people are just so, everybody doesn't want to be an American pro wrestler. Like that's like, people are like, WWE is a goal for a lot of people, but some people don't want to come to America and work 300 days and be at WrestleMania. Like he was the ace of New Japan. Shout out to Tanahashi. The real ace of New Japan was Okada. Sure. He carried the flag for that company for so long for a reason. I'm sure he's been getting contracts and stuff for a year. Does he want to pack his whole family up, his newborn baby up, his wife up to come over to America to be, jacket time with Sammy, with Nakamura? I don't know. Like that could be the goal. He could be like, yo, I'm coming to surf, bro. I'm ready for this. But I don't know if I'd see it.
Surf 2024.
I mean, if that's the goal, if he's like, yo, I'm trying to come surf, I'm all in too. Yo, go for it,
I mean, if he wanted to surf, he could have just worked New Japan Strong and been in the West Coast and surfing his little butt off in California. But I think expect a lot of this year. What's wild is I think Ospreay and Okada are two of the biggest names that would be out there. Drew Galloway is certainly on that list. Seth and Becky are certainly on that list, though kind of feels like based on statements they've made that they're looking to stay where they are. They're just going to look to get really, really, really well paid in the process, and they should. They're two of the most valuable wrestlers in all of wrestling. This is going to be a wild contract year. Sheamus's contract is coming up. This Mercedes gal, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she, I think, some people are starting to talk about her a little bit. So stay tuned to Fightful Select for all of it, because Sean not only has a lot of contract news, Sean loves contract news. Yeah. If Sean could just do contract news and nothing else for the rest of his life, he would be so happy. So Go
This
support the
year.
thing that makes him happy because he gets a lot of bullshit.
Okada, I kind of like, I knew his contract was coming up, but I didn't think that they were going to be like, he's leaving, you know, like, because like, you got to give him that's your golden goose right there, dude. You got to throw him all the money in the world. And for them to not be able to throw him all the money in the world or give him what he wants and him be leaving is insane, you guys. So insane.
That's a tough one. He's so interesting too because like I don't know if a WWE crowd knows who he is, but I know an AEW and a TNA crowd know who he is. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of what his preferences are. Like if he wants to go be this legend who gets to walk in with a legend's reputation to a place that doesn't know him, that's incredible. If he wants like schedule strength and for people to already know who he is, that's awesome too. Like the world is that guy's oyster. And what you're seeing, I feel like in this year as much as any other year, because this is the next like cycle of AEW contracts that are coming up, right? Like I think you're seeing people's worth and stock rise and rise and rise and rise because the competition is so steep right now. So we'll see. We'll see. Jan Beard saying, not gonna lie, Sheamus maybe going to New Japan would be cool. Man, if you gave me Sheamus versus like Alex Coughlin, please.
That would be really sick, honestly.
That would be sick. Shingo Takagi versus, oh my God, versus Sheamus. That would be so much fun. So insane. Okada leaving New Japan. What's crazy to me is like there's not an opportunity to give him a proper send-off, and he's a legend. Like, that's what happens, I guess, when you're working through contracts and you're not in weekly episodic television. But geez,
my brain is like, I can't even form the words to be like Okada's leaving. Like right before we got on this podcast, I looked at that tweet and was like, I'm still like, what? Like never. Yeah. He's like, he's gonna be New Japan until he stops being a wrestler, and he's not.
Shocking. Yeah, I'm very curious as to what circumstances that fell apart on. Because Ospreay, I kind of figured would go somewhere else. Yeah. Okada, I didn't think so. That's an interesting
Okada on a weekly television show would be super interesting also.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by that. Well, what's to me, what has been good about the past year is they've gone out of their way to build up a lot of new talent. You've had a reformed Bullet Club, ZSJ having a singles title run. You had Despy having a breakout year. You've had all of these really great years for these people. And now it's looking more important than ever because Okada's departing. Tanahashi isn't the same wrestler that he was. I think that's fair to say, though heartbreaking to say. Like, he's not the same guy that he was in the ring. Shingo Takagi, I think, is quietly one of the best wrestlers in the world. I think that death match with Jon Moxley on the Battle in the Valley pay-per-view proved it. Nuts. But, like, it also feels like, okay, you better set fire to these guys now because you lost Ospreay and Okada. That's a rough go for any company. Never mind one that is continuing to be a feeder, essentially. And I think that's where the AEW relationship is really important because at least they get them back sometimes.
This is nuts.
Yeah, we're going to work our way through this episode of Ring of Honor. Joel and Cresta come back now. Like, now we have our own time limit draw this week of all weeks with Okada. I mean, literally was about to hit, like, go live. And Reg was like, well, hold on.
Hold on a minute.
This Okada news just broke. But in other shocking, incredible breaking news, Reg, did you know that the ROH tag titles can be defended on ROH?
Nope. This was the most shocking news of the day, even with Okada existing. Even Okada leaving New Japan, it's still the ROH tag titles being defended on ROH TV as the most shocking thing of the day. I love how they even brought it up on commentary. Caprice is like, they're defending them on Honor Club. This is what I love to see. This is what I've been wanting. I think you're echoing my words out there, Caprice. We've been wanting this for a really long time. Didn't seem that hard. I'm like, just put the champs on the show and then have them defend it, and then we'll all like it, right?
Legit. That's all it takes. But I will also say that to their credit, we've seen them do this over the past, I'm going to say 2.5 to 3 months, step by step. You started to see the talent get clearer. You started to see the divisions get clearer. You're now starting to see those titles that a lot of them switched hands get refolded into the picture now. it seems like there's some consistency and a plan behind this product, which I'm guessing in a rights renewal year is a pretty good idea. So let's hope that this stays the course, because it's just a more entertaining product to watch when you have stakes like championships on your program. The Kingdom retaining here, hitting the Hail Mary for the win and their first successful defense of the titles. Very refreshing to see this on here. I thought this was a super fun match. I loved the chemistry between the Iron Savages and Undisputed Kingdom. I feel like that's something that's really impressive to me, and part of why I always liked Bear Country and the Iron Savages. It just feels like, for two big ass dudes, no matter who they're in the ring with, they never look flummoxed by any opponent. They're extremely versatile in there, and you know, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett also know their way around a ring. This is not their first cup of coffee either. So some really, really good stuff here. And just, I was verklempt. I was overwhelmed. I was excited to see those ROH tag titles on ROH. Crazy concept. What did you think of the match? And did you feel as excited as I was just to have the damn titles around?
Yeah, a product of us suffering over here without Ring of Honor tag team championships is that we got to build up tag teams like these guys, like Top Flight, a bunch of tag teams that are on the come up. So the Kingdom has a bunch of guys ready made for tag team matches just like this. The Kingdom, I think it's been a year ago, I was saying these guys should be the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. It took a year, like Kate said. We're here. It's fine. Things, baby steps to get to where we need to get to. But this is exactly what I thought we needed to do. The Kingdom look reinvigorated. They look strong. They look confident. They look the part. And I can appreciate that as the World Tag Team Champions. And I thought this match was really great. You got all the antics. You got the butt and the
the butt stuff
and all those things. Yeah, all those things are in there. The Kingdom looked like the ROH World Tag Team Champions. I'm excited to see what they do with this run. If they're going to continue to just have matches on Honor Club back to back to back, that's really all I want. It's not that hard, like we said. So yeah, I thought this was a good way to kind of reintroduce the belts back to the division and the show.
Agreed. And we'll talk a little bit about how the consistent defenses of Tyler Fletcher. I get paid to do this. Kyle Fletcher.
Kyler.
Wow. I'm still reeling over the Okada news, guys.
It's crazy, I'm telling you.
Tyler is our social media coordinator. It's a lot, okay? There was also a really nice Spinebuster moonsault combo in there that I really, really liked from the Kingdom. I hope they use that as much as possible, because I just think that is two moves that both of them do the best as individuals in tandem. Works every time. Moving on to probably my match of the night, and I'm almost positive yours. Almost positive. Claudio Castagnoli back in ROH, first time since he dropped the title, which love that. Love him returning here versus Bryan Keith. What I loved about this was how much of the story was how much time it took Claudio to put Bryan Keith away. It took him over 10 minutes. And I loved how much it felt like Bryan Keith was, he wasn't an underdog or a babyface in peril, but he was just staying in the fight. Like, that's how this felt to me, and I loved it. The finish here is Claudio hitting a double stomp and then swinging Keith around a little bit into a sleeper hold to choke him out because he could not get him down. Now, when I give finishes of matches, I always feel like that's the punctuation mark on the match. This match in particular, I feel like for that punctuation mark to affect the rest of the story of the match, you really have to go back and watch it, because there were so many instances in this that felt like they really built out a story for a match that didn't have a story going into it. When you had Keith going for that Emerald Tiger driver, but Castagnoli reversing it into the giant swing, but that's not enough to put Keith down. Keith beating that 20 count to get back in the ring and kicking out of a running uppercut, hitting that tornado DDT on the back of it. This match was awesome, and I just love how much, we talked about this with Kyle Fletcher last week, like those urgent endings kind of. This had the same thing where you could feel Claudio like wanting to put this guy away, because his chances of victory were threatened the longer this went on, because Keith was just hanging around. Absolutely love that. I adored this match. This is worth going out of your way to see if you didn't catch it live. What were your thoughts on Claudio and BWI, number 1 ranked, as referenced by Nigel McGuinness on AEW Collision, Bryan Keith?
This was great introduction by Kate. This was I had heard some people were in attendance at the show this past weekend saying this match is awesome. You guys are going to want to see it. So there was already a little anticipation, a little buildup. And man, did this exceed those expectations. Claudio coming in. I love that they gave it kind of time, space. Claudio is never rushing through anything, but there was like when he was the world champion, it was like, I'm going to just get these guys out of here. It didn't feel like he was like, I'm going to get this guy out of here. I want to see what he got. But then at the end, he's like, okay, this guy got a little bit more than I expected. I got to choke him out just so he can get away from me. I thought that Bryan Keith was awesome in this. I won't say anything about how he got to the ring. You guys just forget about it. Don't text me. Don't send me anything. Don't say anything. We're just moving forward. He looked great. He had his entrance gear. And then I thought that everything else beyond that was great. His selling was great because Claudio was all over him, with all the whole match, using his power to try to break Keith down. But Keith just had that will. Caprice talked about when Keith gets mad, he looks like Yosemite Sam. I thought was super funny. And then he kind of does when he does. Like, I'm like, this is really funny because that's how he actually does look. But Keith just like rallying back, hitting him with the knees, just staying on top of him, not ever being out of the fight, I think was the story of the match. Them kind of playing into Claudio's not the champion, but this is kind of a proving ground match. We already know Keith, but he is also still kind of on the rise, on the come up, somebody you guys need to get to know. This match right here was match of the night. Everything you would love, back and forth from each. Claudio was doing everything. Usually, one of his finishers will get him out. He had to bust out a different move to end the match. Just shows how important, how hard fought this victory was. Great showing for Keith, I thought. Claudio being in Ring of Honor is awesome. Him and Bryan Danielson are teaming up on Collision. Like, this week of wrestling is insane.
It is an insane week of wrestling. And I also loved commentary saying this is what ended Jericho's reign when he was in that swing. I just thought they're so good at stuff like that, man. Caprice and Ian, just a magic combination on commentary and little things like that because then your head goes to, well, damn, if Bryan Keith is better than Chris Jericho and he was Ocho over here, like he could do some real work in Ring of Honor. So just those little compensatory details filling in from Ian and Caprice make this even more fun to watch. And now they don't even have to do as much work because there's actually shit that makes sense on the show, including titles. So they just get to do their jobs really well. This is a whole bunch of fun. Well, I'm just going to read this stupid super chat from this stupid person because I was going to work this into a Maria Canella segment, but we didn't have one today. Him saying, Reg, have you shot your shot with Katie yet? Not a hot mom. Listen, my coworkers, unlike you, actually respect me as a woman, and I'm not a hot mom, to your point. So he's going to have to stick with Mother Wayne if he wants to fulfill that need.
There's a lot of shots to be shot, and I'm not like we're on a show together. She talks to me. So no, dude, that's not how this works. Like, humans have lady friends. That's how this thing works. You could talk to somebody and not want anything from them except for wrestling analysts and a good friendship. That's kind of how these things work. I don't want to hook up with any of my co-hosts. That's not
DMs. This also goes for my Twitter interactions. This goes for Instagram. I'm not sending you feet pics. None of that. So just take a note.
She talked to me. Oh, are we in love? No, dude. Like, she just responded to a tweet one time.
Thank you.
You freaks. Don't be freaks. There's a lot of shots to be shot. A gazillion of them. So keep the 6 over here that you think you should shoot because they're close. No. Go long distance, brother.
I ain't the basket, guys. Move along. Anyway, moving on. The Amish electrician asking how many stars for the Claudio Keith match. That's a good question. Somewhere between 3.5 and 4, I feel like, and not for any reason other than the fact that it was kind of, I don't want to say a throwaway match because I feel like it felt like an important match. But if it was a bigger setting, had even more time or whatever, it would probably kick it up a little bit. But probably around that 4-star area, like definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I feel like if it had gotten like 6 more minutes, it'd be a 4-star match. And if Brian Keith had a different song, then it would be a 4-star song, 4-star match, but it was 3.5 stars.
It's an expensive song, Reg. Cut the people some slack.
I know, and I get in trouble when I make jokes about it.
Still tipping off those jokes, Matthew Plus saying lies. Not lies. It's possible to be normal, not for you, but for other people. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support, champions. Hey, here so I thought good. Kate was spoken for by Eddie. Listen, my love for Eddie Kingston is evergreen, but like my love for Eddie Kingston comes from a specific moment in time of him covered in blood in a Yankee shirt carrying a gas can down to the ring. Okay, there was something that changed within me as a woman that moment that you can't come back from. So, but Eddie rules. He's like my favorite. He's the man. He is just he is the man. He just fucking rules. So we will move along, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Continue to get in those super chats as we continue to work down this Ring of Honor card. You will have Joel and Cresta back. What? For the new TNA. Nic Nemeth giving a promo on that. Very excited to hear what he had to say. And that's not even the craziest shit of the week. We got Okada departing New Japan. I'm sure Sean will pop on if he has any details. The most valuable details will be on FightfulSelect.com, though, because those are worth money. So go subscribe for just $5 a month. The best deal. 11,000 other people do it. You should do it, too. Not only do you get scoops, you get Sean's Q&A. You get bonus shows like Ask Rhapsody every other week. You get me and Alex Pulaski doing alternative post shows to pay-per-views behind the paywall. So much happening at FightfulSelect.com. We have more subscribers than we do pieces of news broken since the beginning. I found out today by like almost 2,000, which just made me really, really, really happy. All of the contract news is going to be back there. That is Sean's wheelhouse. You got a big year in 2024. Didn't think Okada was going anywhere, and here we are. So you just never know what is going to happen. Well, we move on to a really fun multi-women match here. A little bit of confusion around some things. Getting a little tired of like the move train thing. That's getting a little old, but otherwise a very fun match between Billie Starkz, Kiera Hogan, Lady Frost, and Queen Aminata. And Leyla, Hirsch, Rachael, Ellering, Robyn, Renegade, who had some nasty things to say, and Taya, Valkyrie in this. They could not get on the same page. That latter team, they did not like each other very much. Billie Starkz, Kiera Hogan, Lady Frost, and Queen Aminata. Man, we are having some fun with this women's division, man. The end, we do get kind of this sequential move train, and it ends with Billie Starkz hitting that star 10 on Renegade for the win. I thought the right person got the pin. I thought the right person took the pin. So that, I think, is actually a really important feat in a multi-women match when you have so many options and so much going on. I got to put over Ian again. I know I do it all the time, but for 2 reasons. One, after this match, we get Abaddon coming out. He got their pronouns correct.
Yes.
He always does. Effortlessly, sounds supernatural. I just appreciate that. I am not even always good at that. It's never intentional. Sometimes because she's the living dead girl thing, like I always think that I always kind of go to that with them. But I just appreciate that about Ian. And the other thing that Ian is great at, and it's something that I appreciate so much, is he always assigns the same amount of weight to the women's division as the men's division. And it's easier to do in ROH than a lot of other places because there's so much more screen time and stakes for the women's wrestling here. But like that meant a lot to me when he put Athena's title reign in the legs of Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness and stuff. And he continued to do that, just making everything feel so important with this new women's title. Caprice too, but Ian just kind of driving the train on this one. Like that means a lot to me as a woman and a women's wrestling fan. Like that kind of stuff is important, and not a lot of commentators do that. And I can't describe what's missing from other commentators doing it. Otherwise I would. But I just know with Ian, it is there because it just sounds like both are extremely important. And that means like the world to me as a fan. I loved his commentary on this. I loved this match. I thought it was a blast. These multi-women matches are a whole bunch of fun. And I think it also is a good way to get into this TV title picture in like a very playful way. Like it's going to shape up more intensely as we go on. But like, I just thought this was fun to showcase what these women can do before we get fully invested in what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I like them kind of, we able to weave stories with all the different women in different situations and scenarios. Yeah, that spot, Kate, it's deemed the waterfall spot, and I have complained to people that probably had hands in booking this match, and I'm going to continue to do it. I don't know why you keep trolling me all the time. Stop with the damn waterfall spot. It's ridiculous. It happens too much. It happens in every multi-person match at this point. One person's in the middle, they get hit with a pump kick. Another person comes in with an elbow. Another person comes in with the body slam. It's just, stop it. It's in every multi-person match. I don't want to see it anymore. I hate it, and I didn't want it in this match. All the ladies look great, though. I think that they are really establishing whatever way they're going to get into the TV title situation. Is it going to be a tournament? Is it going to be whatever it's going to be? I think they're establishing a bunch of great players. Billie Starkz is looking great out of this. Taya is looking awesome out of this. Diamante. There's so many. Kiera looks. There's so many. Everybody in this match and beyond, I think, are going to be contenders for this. But having these women just in there and establishing themselves, everybody kind of gets to do their little thing. I thought this was really cool.
This was really cool. And we've got some chats about it. I love that the thing that we get chats about most on the show is women's wrestling. It makes me so happy. A lot of that is Athena, but we're seeing the fruits of the labor that they've been bearing here. Of like, this division has been fire for a while. This has been something that has been a positive in ROH. And now we're starting to see that pay off, Athena aside, which is really cool. But Jam Beard saying, also for the women's TV title, give us a C2 style tournament involving the 8 women from the tag and add in Trish, Abaddon, Shafir, and Camille. Who? So, according to FightfulSelect.com, Camille was backstage at AEW. She has been rumored to go to NXT. But some interesting stuff brewing there. I think she would be... I honestly do feel like there's a lot of people in NXT that she could have a lot of fun with. Blair Davenport, Roxanne Perez. Like, that feels like a good fit. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to see her versus Rachael Ellering under this umbrella. Her versus, we were seeing both members of the Hex for a while. Her versus Leyla Hirsch. I just want to see Leyla Hirsch versus everyone. So that would not make me mad. I think a C2 style tournament is a lot to snap together for an inaugural title reign. That feels like a big undertaking. Now, ROH is the program with the room to do it and the roster to do it. But I think maybe something a little bit more straightforward than a round robin tournament when you're kind of, I think people are excited about this title. Let's put it on someone is kind of the vibe I get, where with the C2, it was like, we've got a lot going on with this. We're trying to get the product back on track a little bit more. Certainly would not be mad about it. I would love to see a women's C2 down the line, but I also don't want to see a women's C2 without Willow Nightingale, without Athena, without an incoming Mercedes Moné, without an already kicking ass Deonna Purrazzo. So let's make that a roster-wide thing. But I don't hate that suggestion. What do you want to see, C2 or not, whatever your thoughts are, out of this women's kind of TV title picture? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think tournament is where we're leading to this with how many contenders we have. Because, I mean, what else would you do? A battle royal? That wouldn't really make a lot of sense. You kind of want to give the person some big wins on the way up to there, and like the tournament's the easiest way. I think that I'm kind of thinking the same way that you are. The C2 might be a little bit too convoluted for what they're trying to accomplish with getting this championship, because with the C2, it was like, we're trying to establish more the tournament, the wrestling, blah, blah, blah. This one is like, we're establishing this wrestler in this championship, and what Athena did, it has to be different than that. So there's some things I think that are going to go into it. The tournament is the way to go, I think, with how many contenders you have. There's even more that haven't been announced yet. It's just too many to not do.
Agreed. And I don't know. I'm excited about it, though. Like, it feels, we don't really have, if you're not going to do tag titles, this is a good move so that there's more stakes, because this division is filling out really fast.
It is.
Really, really fast. So that's just really encouraging to see.
Mm-hmm.
We got a chat from Izzy. Oh no, where did it go? Let me refind it. Izzy's saying, I know SRS punching the air can't have a day off. Let me tell you, nope. This is Sean's favorite shit in the world. He loves contract news. He loves getting contract news. He likes the Adam Schefter part of his job. Like, this is the thing that he loves the most. He has so much fun with it. And by the way, he does not have a day off. Even when he's not doing this, he does not have a day off. So since he's going to be working, him getting supplementary details to whatever is going on with this Okada stuff, I think is probably the way he would prefer to spend his Thursday night, if not with his awesome wife. So good stuff. We're going to talk about it if we have enough time kind of at the end here. And certainly with the TNA crew coming on, because he just had a TNA appearance as well. But before we get to any of that, we're going to talk about this Top Flight, Darius and Dante Martin and Butcher and Blade match. Before it, we have this very... Action Andretti is in the back talking, and Top Flight drives up in a golf cart and get Andretti. This is not Andretti slander. I don't know when or how hydration became his gimmick, but it's a little weird. Match is super fun. We've got Top Flight getting fired up in this, hitting their tag team moves before Dante hits that crossover splash for the win, which always looks so great. Dante, considering how long he was injured and the nature of his injury, does not look like he lost a step, which is awesome to see, because that's not always the case. Now that we have tag titles around, it's a lot more fun to watch these matches, because you're kind of like, oh, who are next contenders for these things? Top Flight, have to figure, is in there. I'm assuming the 6-man belts are going to be held hostage, so we're probably going to have Action Andretti on the outskirts of this for a little bit and just go with Top Flight proper is my guess. But I thought this match was fun. Nice to see Butcher and Blade staying in the mix. I really like them as a team, and I think they have so much value. So even in taking a loss here, I thought they looked good. Any thoughts on this extremely odd little promo? It's not throwing cheese. It's still not even close to the weirdest thing that we got on here, but and this match as well.
I don't know what the water thing is. Like, there's a certain sector of fans that are kind of confused, I think. Everybody's like, well, why does he keep doing it? What part of the gimmick? What is this? And then they're leaning into it pretty heavily. So whatever. All right, I'm in. It sounds good to me too. I think the best, I don't know. They're kind of confusing me now, because they put them in tag matches back-to-back nights. And I really love the tag matches. Just the regular 2-on-2 with Dante and Darius. I think that they're awesome as a tag team, and the moves that they have together, they can work them a little bit better than they do in the trios matches. So I'm like, man, maybe I just want to see Top Flight like this. But I'd also like to see them as trios or 6-man championships, tag team champs. So I don't really know where I'm kind of standing with this, but I thought this match was cool. Anytime we see Darius and Dante together, and it's funny how just that one match with the Kingdom added so much more stakes to any tag match that's on a Ring of Honor show. Like, this match felt like way more stakes with these two tag teams, because they've been establishing Butcher and the Blade. Top Flight just came back, need some more wins. That was a really fun match. They're getting a little bit of their stuff back together. They're meshing as brothers again. I think if in 3 or 4 more weeks, they'll really be back to who they need to be. But them knocking the dust off, I think this is a really good way back up to who Top Flight really is.
I agree. And I think that as fun as like trios are, and they are, there's something really fun about tandem offense versus like 3 guys laying in separate move offense. It's just a different dynamic. I think for Top Flight, Darius and Dante have that down. Action Andretti has always seemed to be on the periphery. I'm hoping that they find something consistent for him to do. One of the few things that hasn't been clarified is this trio, because there's just been injuries after injuries with this poor group of people. So, and Action Andretti has bounced around from being the guy that beat Chris Jericho to Hydration Andretti to whatever we're doing. So I'm glad he's hydrated. That makes me happy. It sounds like he's getting his protein too, so love that for him. But all just a little bit odd. We got some more super chats. Thank you so much for all the support today.
You guys are cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. The Amish Electrician saying, Reg, thoughts on Austin Gunn's new theme for Bullet Club Gold? It's not many men.
Anytime these sons of guns do something, I have to compliment them. I hate it. Don't beat
Dude.
Austin Gunn, you son of a gun.
The entire time they were off TV while Jay White was in the C2, they did not leave the gym, evidently. They are just jacked.
They're some monsters. They came back looking better. How are you guys got me complimenting the damn guns on this show? That's not what I wanted out of this. I'm like, good thing they look good in the ring. Am I a Guns fan? What the hell's happening here?
But
I love Jay White.
Jay White's unbelievable. Yeah. And I think coming into play here because Jay White, with his background, knows something about how to make people better through the use of a stable. My biggest complaint with the Guns was that it never felt right that they were tag champions. I don't have a problem with a team that's around to eat some pins or a newer team that needs to grow or anything like that. However, them getting hot-shotted to the titles the way they did when it felt unearned, not in the sense that they weren't working really hard at it, but that they didn't do the work to have us buy in as fans, that was my biggest complaint around them. Having them in a stable is perfect. Like I really like the way that they're being used there. So I'm with you again. I know, but now we're out here saying nice things, and that eats away at your soul a little bit. I get it.
I'm like, damn, they did do something I didn't like because they made them ROH 6-man champions, and I'm like, I don't really know if that's where I wanted to land with this. Because
are we getting unified?
No. I was seeing that last night, Kate. How do you feel about this?
I'm back and forth on it because I feel like both belts have been so lost that unifying them and having them bounce around might be really healthy. But at the same time, I don't want it to be another situation where these belts get combined and we don't ever see them on ROH. That would be such a bummer because those belts do have a really important history. And on top of that, like, we've never, thank you to follow Kyle K. Starkz if you like ROH. He's a savant. Yeah. He knows history up and down. We have never, in this new era of ROH, seen the ROH 6-man tag titles change hands in ROH. They've changed hands 3 times, and it's been in AEW every single time. Figure it out. I don't want to be negative about it because we saw 3 titles on tonight, and it's all very positive stuff, but like that stuff makes me roll my eyes still. Like, let's get it together with these 6-man belts. Jam Beard saying, Action's water gimmick feels like a TikTok trend thing, so his next... Is it a TikTok trend? I'm so old. I don't know. Yeah, so his next gimmick will be drinking a Sprite without burping. Listen, if it's a McDonald's Sprite, that's the most intimidating thing he could be. I don't know. My goodness. Kate, we're getting space for women's tags when Bullet Club merges the ROH trios with the AEW trios. Oh, yeah, and Macho Man Randy Average. We're going to talk about that in a second because that had me howling.
I think everybody's on this train for this merge, and I don't know.
I'm split on it because I'm like, well, if you only have to worry about one, maybe the neglect to both will stop. Like maybe it'll have a bit more intensive of an effort, but
I feel like Ring of Honor is going to get the short end of the stick on this.
If history is an indicator of the present and the future, it is a concern, a real concern. We will move along. Guys, I see the numbers going up and down this entire stream. If we have Okada news, we will tell you Okada news. I promise we don't have it right now.
We ain't got none.
We do have word just from New Japan, if you're tuning in and haven't seen this, that Okada is leaving New Japan at the end of the month. There are no more planned events right now for New Japan Pro Wrestling between now and then. So as of right now, it looks like Okada's tenure in New Japan Pro Wrestling is up. There is no further word on that. Stay tuned to FightfulSelect.com, and I'm sure if Sean has anything to break, he will come on the stream and break it because he likes when our own channel does well, it turns out, which is good for us. Also good for us is getting Mark Briscoe on this episode of ROH for so many reasons. It's always good to have Mark Briscoe on my screen. But this is obviously the week that Jay Briscoe passed. The anniversary of his passing was yesterday. It hit the 1-year mark today. Mark Briscoe's birthday. Brutal, brutal stuff. An incredibly moving video package that got shown yesterday. An incredibly moving statement about Jay's daughter who was in that same accident and told she was never going to walk again. And out she walks at a really, really special moment on Dynamite. If you missed Dynamite, seek that out. maybe cry like a baby. But nice to see Mark Briscoe here winning with the J Driller against Serpentico. He hits a lariat for a near fall before that. Serpentico comes back with some kicks and a flatliner, but Briscoe getting out of the way for the double stomp and that J Driller for the win. Just felt like a really important piece of Ring of Honor being represented this week of all weeks.
Yeah.
Was something that was really, really special. I also really loved that in the C2 when he lost out essentially, outside of that one win that didn't impact anything against Jay Lethal, him saying like, I lost because I'm in my rookie season as a singles competitor, I thought was a brilliant framing of that. And I just think about that so much when he's in the ring now. Like, he's really, really special. Happy birthday to Mark Briscoe. I'm sure it's a very weird, emotional year and moment, but very, very cool to see him. I was hoping he would be on this episode because, of course, of the significance of it. But great to see him winning. Great to see him winning with the J Driller. Didn't really have to mean anything as far as a wrestling context because it meant so much more in the grand scheme of things. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought it was a fitting return for Mark Briscoe. They said he hadn't been on Ring of Honor TV since June. Jay Briscoe's 1-year anniversary was yesterday. It's just unfortunate that every time Mark Briscoe ever has a birthday now, like it's the day, like forever, it's the day after the tragic accident of his brother. So, wow, it's just that segment yesterday was hard, but also amazing. All of it is just, when you think about it, it's like, damn, that it's only a year ago, still seems so fresh. It's amazing that Mark Briscoe is still here in the ring, and he looks awesome. Like, this match tonight was great. Serpentico, I thought, got some offense in. Mark Briscoe always makes everybody look great while throwing really good strikes. His chops are always super strong. Elbow drops are great. His suplexes are awesome. The Driller looks really cool and a fitting tribute to his brother. I think anything surrounding Mark Briscoe is cool, and I could see him as a champion in Ring of Honor by the end of the year. I'm surprised he wasn't by the end of 2023. So,
yeah, I definitely think he'll have some ROH gold sooner rather than later, and I think that's awesome. To your point, it feels like it was 2 days ago. It also feels like it was 10 years ago. It does not feel like 1 year ago, but those anniversaries of every one of the trilogy matches with FTR, right? Like, we were thinking of it then, we're thinking of it during the holidays, we're thinking of it on his birthday, and then the actual anniversary of his passing comes up and you forget that Mark's birthday was the next day. Just our continued condolences and prayers to his family. They really look like they've been moving through it beautifully through their own faith and through their own process. Like, it was just nice to see them all out there yesterday. So we always just send further love and healing, but this was a really nice way to kind of pay tribute without it being like an overwhelming we're paying tribute thing, because we saw that yesterday. So nice to see it like in action in a way. Really fun stuff. Really good stuff. Speaking of fun stuff, let's talk about this now, because I forgot to put it in my notes in the right order. Macho Man Randy Average is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. I knew Johnny TV was a lot of fun. I've known Dalton Castle is the best, right?
Yes.
I did not realize that they were soulmates and made for each other for these types of segments. They are absolutely hysterical. We've seen Dalton Castle coming to the ring with sandwiches in his hand because he's become so unhinged. Johnny TV took everything away from him. Dalton Castle comes in here after Johnny TV drops this Randy Average line, which was so great, saying exactly that. He took everything away from me. I'm the one that's supposed to be on there with the TV title every week in everybody's living rooms. And he is just throwing cheese at people. He's throwing cheese around Lexi Nair's head. He's chucking cheese, Reg. That undoubtedly was supposed to be on his ham sandwich. What a riot. What a fun thing to have in the middle of something that is generally a more sports-based program. Like, these flavors of these stories are so much fun. And Dalton Castle just continues to be such an important bonding piece of merging the eras of ROH. So much fun to have around here. This is just all sorts of silly, and I was here for it. We got a chat, and we've talked about this a lot, but I love that there's a super chat about it because it always bears repeating. We often talk about this wrestler or that wrestler having a breakout year. Can we talk about the breakout year of Lexi Nair had last year? Yes, we can. We can, we will, and we will all day. She went from being a backstage interviewer to the backstage interviewer of ROH and an integral part of the Minions story. You're seeing her personality come here with the Dalton Castle stuff, him being in that road case or whatever it was last week, just thrown about. Her reactions have been great, and she really has let her personality shine through without it being something that distracts from the scene, which I think to me is such a difficult balance to strike. That's something Renee is the GOAT at, obviously. That right now, Renee's just trying to hold it together while Toni Storm is yelling about punching people in the box. But like that ability to not be lifeless, but not pull away from things is a very, very fine line to walk. Lexi is killing it. We love to see it. What did you think of all this Dalton silliness and anything else you want to expand upon with Lexi there?
Yeah, I thought that in the backstage segment, my favorite part was them randomly having a parkour station for Johnny TV to do flips over. I'm like, why is that stuff randomly set up like that? Oh, so Johnny TV could do a flip over it. I thought that shit was really funny. He slides over under one thing, and that somehow stops Dalton from really getting to him. This stuff is going to lead to them probably being a tag team. It is what it's looking like. Like, I thought that they're like, okay, we probably can have a pretty good feud with this, but this is even better than anybody I think expected. And it might end up with them being like tag team champions or something, just because they work so well together, and we're gonna have to continue to see them all together. This segment was awesome. Yeah, I think Lexi, though, has became there's rarely that backstage interviewers or commentators or anything kind of become characters within Ring of Honor because they're so just about the wrestling and what happens here. But Lexi has become a character and an inaugural part of this Ring of Honor and Honor Club brand. And kudos to her just for working hard, being awesome in these segments with Billie Starkz and stuff like this with Dalton Castle. She's incredible. She's going to have an even bigger year this year, I think.
I agree. I think a lot of people are taking notice, and that's just awesome to see because to the super chat, you're right. Like, we do talk about that with wrestlers all the time. And I think commentary, this is kind of what's nice about having a breadth of wrestling products to give personalities to. Commentary, I think people have been noticing a lot with Ian and Nigel and whatever. WWE has had a rotating circle there, and I think still trying to figure it out. But I think now these backstage segments are starting to pick up the same notoriety. People are realizing the value of the people that hold those positions, and it's awesome. Right. I love your idea of them as a tag team. It says a lot about Dalton Castle that I'm like, he could be a trios champion with the boys, he could be a singles champion, or he could be a tag champion with Johnny, and I'm in it. I'm in for all of it. So much fun. The chat bringing up Quinn McKay too, formerly of ROH, now of Level Up. Yeah, she was a really big piece of it, and a wrestler at one point. She was in some women's tournaments there as well. Well, we move on to another dominant women's match. Now, I will say there were 2 squash matches for the women and 1 real match. So we got a lot of talent on TV, but not for as long as we normally do. No complaints though, because it's all heading somewhere, and we're getting a lot of really great growth in the women's division. But Diamante just booting Dream Girl Ellie, who screams at the top of her lungs, getting a quick win with the Crossroads. So I guess she faced Cody Rhodes at some point, because if you're gonna steal somebody's finisher, according to Cody Rhodes, you got to face them a couple times, and then you get to adopt their move. But this was fun. Diamante continuing to look like a badass. I think you're starting to see how they're going to prioritize people in this division, especially going into a tournament. Not a ton to write home about. Nice to see Dream Girl Ellie back. She's great. Like, good to see her back on screen here. Anything that you want to add to this?
Yeah, nothing too crazy in this. Just Diamante getting a nice win over here. Women's squash matches exist now. I think Ring of Honor establishing that thing too is pretty cool for them, because it hasn't always been like that. And I think Nyla and Diamante are great ones to kind of lead the way with that. And Mercedes also.
Agreed.
Martinez.
Yeah, we gotta be specific, or everyone's gonna clip it and be like, "She's coming to ROH." She's showing up for Ronda, who's coming back. I don't know. Relax, people. But I'll tell you what else is good. We get Kyle Fletcher defeating Christopher Daniels to retain his title. 3rd defense in 3 weeks. You love to see that. Really fun match. I appreciate the value of Christopher Daniels in these situations and his status in Ring of Honor. And they've done a good job of making him feel like a really big deal. I would like to see the Lee Moriartys of the world kind of in this. And like, I want to see that. Now, this is Kyle Fletcher's 3rd defense in 3 weeks. Like, there's plenty of time to get all of those younger talents in together. But sometimes I think we get a little heavy-handed with the veteran like it's always Christopher Daniels and Serpentico all the time.
Yeah.
No offense to them, but I would love to see some more independent talent or AR Fox in this or whatever. So, but no complaints about the match itself. Christopher Daniels is in there for a reason. Like, he looks good every time. You get Daniels hitting a Uranagi to set up the best moonsaults ever, but Kyle Fletcher coming back with that leg lariat and Fletcher with that reverse tombstone scores the win. It's so nice to have our titles back, Reg. Like, it's so great. And Kyle Fletcher, 3 very different defenses over the course of those 3 weeks as well. We were raving about him last week. This was a bunch of fun as well. He's just so well-rounded and so great at such a young age. I can't reiterate enough how impressive it is that he has a grasp on so many of the quote-unquote intangibles of wrestling, things that you can't explain, things that you can only explain because they're being done the proper way. Like, from our aspect, I'm sure there's in-ring equivalents to those things, but just great stuff from Kyle Fletcher. Love his strength and his quickness. Hold on to that, because your youth, it slips away fast, man. Okay, just revel in it while you can, Kyle Fletcher, because it goes. But for now, him being able to go 100 miles an hour and also do things like this reverse tombstone, whole bunch of fun. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would rather someone else be in this Christopher Daniels spot. I like Christopher Daniels a lot. I was thinking about it when this match started. Christopher Daniels was on the first Ring of Honor show 22 years ago now. Kyle Fletcher was 2 years old. That's crazy to think about. Now they're wrestling here in a match on TV, and Kyle Fletcher's a stud like no other. I think that him being in this position, all of his matches, you know, it's like almost a guarantee at this point that Kyle Fletcher's is going to have a banger match. He's going to carry this title, and you're going to get to a point where you're like, that this is awesome point, but like a real this is awesome get to for the crowd, you know what I mean? Not just like we're saying this because you guys have been wrestling for 10 minutes. He has really good instincts. The way that he builds a match, it's not just high spot. It's to get to somewhere. I like that he's implementing different moves now that he's doing this reverse tombstone thing. I think it looks really disgusting. Backdrop driver, sick. All of the stuff that he does, he's leveling up, I think, every match. Christopher Daniels was a good move. It was at Daly's place at the point that they got to the show. So,
that's of note too. Good point.
There's some reasons that it's okay, but yeah, I think like there's so many people back there that could be showcased on Ring of Honor that are kind of just lingering that could fill these spots that Serpentico and Chris Daniels and Matt Sydal, who I love all these guys. I think they're great, but there just be some other people that could be slotted in here that I think will do just as great. But this was a really fun match because Kyle Fletcher's killing it.
Agreed. Yeah, it's definitely not a wrong move. We just think there might be maybe some better moves back there.
Yes.
So that brings us to a video package really quick that we get from Ethan Page, which I really liked, man. I know I've been like Ethan Page Stan account girl for a while, but this is why. Like, now we're getting to see this authentic version of him kind of coming through. He talks about making it his goal for 2024 that he wants to earn his way to a TV title match against Kyle Fletcher.
Yep.
A wrestler just stating what he's there to do. Unbelievable stuff. He talks about promising his daughter that he was going to be carrying gold around. He says that Scorpio Sky was doing the same thing. He's so good at giving you so much information in so few words. He said, Scorpio Sky is my friend in my alliance, but we are not a tag team, and I'm going after the singles title because I want championship gold. Like, whoosh. Just really, really, really well done. Very simple, to the point. I love that. I wish we had more alliances that weren't necessarily tag teams in wrestling. Because, like, that's how Men of the Year kind of operated when they were in AEW. And I think them operating that way in ROH is a lot of fun because single stars that kind of have each other's backs is a really fun dynamic. And I feel like both of them are single stars that have this connection from years ago now at this point. Any thoughts on this video package? I just can't get over how naturally and easy Ethan Page gives us a lot of relevant information in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, Ethan Page is just tremendous at promos. He's good at everything that he does. I wanted Men of the Year to be a tag team. I think that they'd be a tremendous Ring of Honor or AEW tag team, but I do like them establishing Scorpio Sky's here to have my back. We're not getting the band back together just yet. We might. That's in the book. We're not saying we're ruling it out. But right now, Ethan Page is trying to get singles gold. I just like his motivation is always set right there. You don't know. There's no confusion about Ethan Page. Every time he's on TV, he's like, this is exactly the reason why I'm here. I come to do this. I want to be this person. And these are the steps I'm going to take to get there. And I thought this promo was that.
Agreed. Guys, we are coming to your main event of ROH. Obviously, there's big news floating around in the ether about Okada. We don't have more information than we have. I see the numbers coming up. I'm sure you guys are anxious to hear about TNA, which will be reviewed very shortly by Cresta and Joel as we finish up here. Last call for Super Chats on our end of the show. If you have Super Chats for Joel and Cresta, you'll be able to get those answered for the TNA show as well. Nic Nemeth addressing the crowd. Will Ospreay in action against Josh Alexander. Joel was there live in Vegas for the relaunch. He talked to Speedball. He talked to Steve Macklin. So he'll be able to give you the live event experience as well from what he got to do in Vegas and maybe some spoilers about those interviews that he got to. So stick around for the TNA Impact, whatever it is, post show at this point. Cresta and Joel will bring you a great time. But first, flipping and spinning, and flipping your Triple I mega title here. Some good stuff that we get out of out of Vikingo. I'm thinking Black Taurus because he's not going to be named Black Taurus very much longer, but we get Vikingo with his title, the longest holding title, or longest running title holder since Kenny Omega, against Action Andretti. And what was a very fun match. A lot of pinning predicaments at the end here, but ends with Vikingo getting that electric chair position and Andretti getting another pinning predicament. And this time you got Vikingo getting a nice pin on this, like a really deep pin on the cover. I appreciate that about my luchadors. When they go for those covers, they go for the covers, getting the 3 count for the win. Very fun match. Like, I think it forced Andretti to kind of level up a little bit in a really good way. But Vikingo, of a lot of the luchadors that we get to see, I say it week over week, I appreciate how much everything is cohesive and makes sense in the context of the acrobatics. Like, none of it really feels all that superfluous. There's obviously a big name out there. I'm not even talking about Okada yet, but I'm talking about Black Taurus. I thought that was going to be the big news of this week. Really, really exciting stuff that Taurus might be on the way in here. You have a better beat on this scene than I do, but what did you think of our main event? And do you have any thoughts on Taurus? Because we were getting some chats about it. People were curious.
Yeah, I think that Vikingo, they just wanted Vikingo to be possibly the first ever crossover from Ring of Honor to TNA/Impact Wrestling we've ever done. I don't know if we've ever had one wrestler be on both shows of our post show. That's what was going on here. Vikingo is the man. It's nothing more that I could say. I come on here every single week, talk about how amazing he is. He got in all his flipping and spinning, all his spot food spots. They were right here on display. Action Andretti is a really good opponent for him, I think, because as well as he could flip, he could sell, and he can do the other things on the other side, I think, that are needed to make Vikingo look great. And this was a display like this. Black Taurus, yeah, apparently is now signed over to AEW. Huge move. I said when they gave him a shot a few months ago, when they had the match with Vikingo, they needed to sign him. He's a game-changing luchador. Like, there's a bunch of luchadors always that we see all the time, but this guy brings a different energy, a different type of style, different look, everything different than a regular luchador. The name, we'll get over it. Like Penta, it used to be Pentagon Jr. or whatever. He's not Pentagon. We never call him Pentagon Jr. It'll be fine. I complained about Gunther and Walter for a long time. I forgot about it. His name's Gunther. Who cares?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Guys, there is a write-up on Okada on FightfulSelect.com. I'm going to read it and see if there's anything I can tease for you guys. But whilst I do that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our own Joel Pearl real quick.
Oh,
there he is.
How are we doing?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Doing good. This is not the Hard to Kill post show. That was my mistake. There we go. That's for when y'all are done.
Hard to Kill, baby.
That was,
how is TNA? Is TNA back, Joel? Is
TNA
back?
According to many, I have been told TNA is in fact back. Not just back. I've been told they're effing back.
Oh,
they're effing back with curse words and all.
They dropped an F-bomb tonight with the beep on. But yeah, Scott D'Amore just loves dropping F-bombs in his promos now. It's great.
So, Joe, I laughed and I laughed and I laughed at Denise last week because I said, who could the signing be? And she goes, what about Okada? And I'm like, Denise, stop. But I mean, today, before we hopped on here, we got some different news. I don't know. It's not seeming as crazy as it did last week. What are your thoughts?
I'll tell you one thing. In conversations that I had with TNA people this past weekend, the way it was told to me was on the CM Punk stuff, it was actually a lot closer than people really gave it credit for. And what that means to me is that they are going to continue making plays for high-level talent. What people also need to realize is TNA operates differently than all the others out there. They run weekly TV, yes, but they tape twice a month. They do a live show and they tape television, or they do 2 sets of tapings on 2 different nights, or whatever. It's a very light schedule. For some, that's perfect. And also, take a look. Trinity's leaving. Nic Nemeth came in. You can basically assume that whatever money was earmarked for Trinity just got shifted over to Nic Nemeth. So now maybe there's other money coming in. And maybe Kazuchika Okada is the type of person that wants to come back and do it. And all I can say is when you watch the 6-man next week, maybe you'll feel like he's the right guy for that job. So he could easily wind up in TNA. I don't know where else.
They use his old entrance. We're going to bring Cresta on in just a second, but we did get one final super chat from Travis Lindsay saying, if the ROH 6-man and AEW trios titles are unified, which one should survive? ROH makes sense since there's a history, but AEW has more clout.
There's not anything really behind the AEW trios titles, I think, so far. I think the history of the Ring of Honor holds stronger, but it would make more sense for them to be AEW trios titles, you know?
Agreed. I think you run into the issue of everything's under the AEW umbrella, not under the ROH umbrella. So I think that you should probably do it that way, even though one has a much more rich history. This is my thing. Okada has to lose the never open weight 6-man titles to TMDK. Yeah, he should.
Now there's actually an opportunity for him to drop the pinfall too, because before that, everyone was like, "No, the only person who dropped that pinfall is Ishii."
It is true, and the other piece of it is, like, if that contract is up on the 31st, so I would much rather him at least be able to drop them than just vacate or them to freebird it or whatever. That would not be the best way to send Okada out, in my opinion, because there's just too much value in it. There is a post about Okada on Fightful Select. There is information about a promotion that was looking to bring him in and was throwing ideas around. So I would encourage you to go to FightfulSelect.com and subscribe. That's as far as I'm going to go, because the rest is busting the paywall as far as my boundaries go with it. But I'm sure information and speculation will be out there soon. We had a great night at ROH tonight, which was very, very fun. We now get to turn it over to and I get to say it for the first time, TNA crew and Joel and Cresta. Keep the support. We got a lot of chats tonight. You guys were awesome. Please keep that support rolling for the TNA crew. we got a really fun match between Claudio and Bryan Keith. We also got, this is gonna blow your minds, but we got a tag team title defense on ROH.
Oh wow!
Kyle Fletcher defending for the third time in 3 weeks. ROH titles on ROH. Who would have thought?
Where's the world title though?
With Eddie Kingston, partner.
Triggered.
Wow, why are you being such a heel?
I don't know. At least the world champion was on the TNA show. It was a pre-tape.
He's still on Vegas time. He doesn't know what's.
I'm very much still on Vegas time.
Insane.
Are you on Vegas weather? Because that's also a different ball game.
I would love that, but it's starting to warm up in Toronto. When I got home, I'll tell you all before you leave, I got a collective maybe 17 hours of sleep the whole time I was in Vegas. And that was just not, that was the worst part of this trip, was that I thought I would sleep. I did not sleep much.
Psych.
Yeah, pretty much. And I wasn't staying on the strip until the end. So, okay, that was it.
Eesh.
Well, you guys can hear all about Joel's experience and tonight's episode of the new TNA from Joel and Cresta. We're going to get out of here and let them chat about it.
Cresta, come back to Grapsity. Come back to Grapsity. Come back to Grapsity.
What's going on this Saturday? What's all this?
Come back on Saturday. I'll send you the link.
Yo, I'll see you Saturday. I'll see you Saturday, partner. I'll see you Saturday.
Have a lot of fun, guys.
Peace,
we'll see you.
See you soon. Oh man,
hard thing. I'm old.
You gotta do that. You are old, but it's okay. I appreciate the elderly here.
Yes. What's up, Joel? How are you? How was Vegas? I'm jealous. I wish I could have gone.
Well, we haven't been on screen live together, live like this in months.
That's true.
Months. You and I, the last time was when they did the AAA stuff. And this was like beginning of December.
Yeah.
Since then, like you and I we haven't done this. We're out of sync. So we did the Hard to Kill pre-show, and originally we were going to do it live. And I was like, I'm leaving the next day. It's 10 o'clock. I am not doing that. So we taped it, and it turned out to be a good idea because the views were good and people were excited and yada yada yada. So
thank y'all for that.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. The trip was great. Talked to a lot of people. I'll tell you right now, I've got interviews in the cam with Steve Macklin.
Yeah.
He and I sat down. We hashed it out. We did about 25 minutes together.
That's crazy. A 25-minute battle. Joel Pearl. Yes. Iron Man.
and Speedball, Mike Bailey, of course. He's a fellow Canadian. So he and
awesome.
We've known each other for a little bit on and off last couple of years. And so we sat down for about 35 minutes. He and I had a lot to talk about. So those interviews will be dropping probably closer to No Surrender, which is in February, because we have so much coming out over the next few weeks over on Fightful.com. Stuff that's coming from the Royal Rumble, stuff that's going to be coming just from Sean's trip to WrestleCade last month, or 2 months ago now. There's content. There's interviews coming up that were just filmed today. So that's all coming, plus more. And I spoke to a lot of different talent and a lot of different people working backstage at TNA. The feeling is back. They feel good. They're excited, as they should be. TNA is back, baby.
Heck yeah. I was saying to my friends while I was watching TNA that if this is what people were watching back in the day, that they fell in love with TNA, I could see it. This was fantastic. I had such a good time. My only complaint was that too much was going on and writing became almost impossible.
So
it's what a complaint to have. You know what I mean?
So let's, because we're so out of practice, let's do it right for the audio friends so I can get the intro.
That's true.
Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com. I am Joel Pearl, and it's time for your TNA Impact post show. We can finally say it again. It's January 18th, 2024. Coming off Hard to Kill. This is a part of the Snake Eyes tapings in Las Vegas. I was lucky enough to attend those, and of course, Hard to Kill as well. We do have a Hard to Kill post show over on youtube.com/Fightful. Myself, Steven Jensen, and the wonderful lady next to me who joins me for all of our post shows, Cresta Star. She's here. Hello, Cresta. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. What an episode. What a time to be a wrestling fan. I had such a good time watching TNA. I could smell the nostalgia in the room. How are you, Joel?
It smelled like nostalgia, and it smelled like, thankfully, people were wearing deodorant, at least in my section.
I love it.
Don't you? It's great stuff. I also love it when y'all leave a thumbs up on the video. And of course, subscribe to us here, youtube.com/Fightful. If you're listening to us in the audio realm, please leave a 5-star review. That helps us go a long way, because if you like us, you should like us and tell others about us, right? That's how it goes. Anyway, you can also send us a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air, or you can go to humperchats.com. Cresta will tell you how, why, what, when, and where, if you remember.
Oh, yes, you take your hands and your fingers and you go to humperchats.com. I'm sorry, the spirit of Tony Storm is coming through me.
Seriously,
You go-
are you Ash by Elegance? Is that what you're doing, Cresta Star?
Maybe Cresta by Star. You go to humperchats.com on either your phone, your favorite browser, or whatever. You leave whatever comment, like Joel Pearl. I'm glad you made up with Steve Macklin. When's the Iron Man match? Any dollar amount, get your comment read on screen. We read it. We're happy. Sean's happy. It keeps the lights on. Humperchats.com for you.
There you go. We don't own the night anymore, but we certainly own an opportunity for your money. Cody Wells kicks us off with a super chat saying, great episode. The main event was spectacular. Let's get right into this. We had Will Ospreay and Josh Alexander, the second match. And I don't know if I said it in our Hard to Kill pre-show, but I do remember mentioning this on In the Weeds. My feeling was the entire time, Josh is going to win this. And
you did say that on the Hard to Kill post show.
I did. And my feeling was always that Josh was going to win this. And on top of that, they're going to set up a third match. And it'll be, well, you know, Will Ospreay's off to AEW, and that's great. I'm really happy to see that. And it also means that Will Ospreay will be stateside more often as a result of this. Josh Alexander gets a huge win and a rebranded TNA. He also got the big win at Hard to Kill over Alexander Hammerstone, who I hope comes back, because that was a great showing. You can hear all about that on our thoughts in the Hard to Kill post show. But yeah, let's just jump right into your initial thoughts on that main event before we really break it down.
Again, let me turn my page, because I am so upset that the biggest issue I had was too much was going on. This match, I expected it to be a banger, and I agreed with you. I would have loved it if Josh Alexander won. And when he did, I popped like a pimple overnight with a pimple patch. It was fantastic. This match was so good. It was everything you need and more. They were doing the AJ Styles seance circle, I like to call it, every time someone does like a Styles clash. So it was fantastic. It was very TNA. Very TNA. And I think the right decision was made here, especially the way commentary was putting over Josh Alexander as the standard bearer, saying how he was the longest champion and all his other accolades that he got under the Impact banner. He absolutely is the standard for TNA, like he was in Impact.
Yeah, the match was basically the idea of Josh Alexander being the guy at TNA. He is the flag bearer. Why would he lose this match?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing coming out of it. When we break down this match later, I have plenty to say. It was very, very fun live, and watching it play out on TV, it basically translated the same way, if not better. I think commentary did a great job. I put over the referee Daniel Spencer in this thing, because one point when Ospreay introduces that table, he did it so organically, because he was in the ankle lock. He had been taken down off of the ring apron, and he's just scratching for anything he can. And he just happens to grab the table, and he pulls it out, not because he wanted to, but because he was being dragged out.
Yep.
Did he have to set it up? No, but he decided to, and referee's discretion dictates you can do as you please. And he did it in a way that, again, it came off as organic, so it made sense in the moment for him to introduce it. Stuff like that, I love it. It explains it perfectly. These two men, by all accounts, from everything I was told, they put this match together. They did it themselves. Ospreay and Alexander, you can tell in a lot of places where the TNA inference was there. It was just a very well-worked match. We'll get into the specifics, but for now, how about we just start at the top and really get to it? How about that?
I love it. I love it.
All right,
Come on, Grandma. Grab your notebook.
Come on, Grandma. Start writing on a notepad like everyone else. What are we doing?
I cannot. I type with 4 fingers, Joel.
Are you my dad? He's going to be 75 in April.
All right, this is about wrestling. I'm not here about Mavis Beacon teaches typing, okay?
Anyway, X Division 6-Way opens up the show. This was great. Jake Something defeats Kushida, Speedball Mike Bailey, Laredo Kid, El Hijo del Vikingo, and Trey Miguel. Vikingo working ROH and TNA tonight. So he's pulling his Rick Rude. That's great. I love Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywald back up in the balcony seats. I thought that was fantastic. And then everyone going after Jake Something to start the match really set the tone. Really, really fun match. Let you get to your notes. Let's talk about it. Jake Something beats the gamut. And Cresta, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Cresta Star, what happens when a luchador is in a match on Impact or a TNA wrestling?
Dun, 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 they lose.
Yes, they eat the pin. Laredo Kid did, in fact, eat the pin. Welcome back. TNA, we're back, baby.
Yeah.
You signed an agreement, a multi-year extension with AAA, and it's just like, no, we're still going to beat your luchadors unless Conan's here. Whatever. It was fun. People
Can't
know
say that.
if you don't know the bit by now, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Either way, Vikingo looked good. Everyone looked great. Let's talk about the match. Go ahead, Cresta.
I have to say that I agree with commentary with one of these things. It's not like the others. Everyone ganging up on Jake Something, classic big man, little people, because the X Division isn't about weight limits, it's about no limits. But you are a little bit too big. Look at everybody else now. Look at you. Get the hell out of here. I respect it. It is not lost on me that the X Division opened up a TNA match followed by the Knockouts division. I think that is smart because that is something they are known for. More than the Knockouts division, they are known for the X Division doing crazy spots. We had a triple dive outside of the ring. Again, Mike Speedball could do no wrong. Such a fantastic wrestler. There was one time where Jake Something caught Vikingo and did like this rolling senton and threw him outside into the other competitors. Jake Something is a monster. And he's one of those people, like, I had this feeling about Steve Macklin too, when he first got it, like, you are so good that I want you to go for the title already. I know you would lose, and I don't want that right yet, but you are so good. And I also need him versus Alex Hammerstone. Me?
I like that. And by the way, that particular spot, I sent out a tweet after it happened. And I said there was a spot between Jake Something and El Hijo de Vikingo that it's just perfect. That was that spot. The spot that you just talked about, that was it. You had Vikingo do it was like a spinning Rana right into Something, and then Something eventually picking him up and doing the power bomb off into the crowd of competitors. It was so good and so smooth. There was chemistry there, and it wasn't necessarily expected. So again, everyone in the match came out swinging. I love that they're all trying to take out Jake Something with those high flying moves. The Jake Something choke slams onto Trey Miguel, onto Laredo Kid was just devastating. Good. Really loved it. And there was another spot with Vikingo and Jake Something with the foot, where you have Something on Vikingo's foot and they're slapping each other, but Jake Something just smacks a little harder and knocks down Vikingo. Stuff like that is fantastic. Something hits into the void. Laredo Kid eats the pin because the more things change in TNA, the more they stay the same.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I burped like
that was like very attractive.
Beer, like a beer man.
Anyway, Sulco's in the chat. Welcome, pal. He says, did the crowd noise come through? It sounded quiet. It did sound a little quiet, but this match, I can tell you live, it came through. The Nic Nemeth segment that we'll talk about, that really got the crowd going. And of course, the match with the main event tonight and the sixth man. The sixth man was interesting. We'll talk about that a little later, how it played out in the tapings and how it was a little different from normal. But crowd noise came through. A theater like the Palms. I didn't get to say this on the Hard to Kill post show because I had some issues with my internet. It's hard to get good crowd audio in a theater that is treated for sound. In other words, it's a theater, right? So everything just kind of hits the baffles or hits the soundproofing, and it doesn't echo through an arena. It doesn't echo through a big empty hall. It just kind of goes and just deafens, just deadens itself. So it came out, but it's very quick to die.
Yeah. Audio problems.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really audio problems. It's just what you expect. So you got to work with it. Anyway, Gia Miller's backstage with Will Ospreay. Calls Josh Alexander a cheeky little slag. It's a great week for British slang. Let me tell you. You got Toni Storm saying that she's going to punch Gianna Purrazzo in the box, and then you got
that British slang, because I've heard of the term box before, where people are like, bless Denise Salcedo's heart. That's all I have to say is bless her heart.
She figured it out. Ospreay came back because of TNA, calls himself a world beater. Now it's time for Josh Alexander to fulfill pressure, which later on he does. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about Ash by Elegance. Cresta. BTI is dead. Long live BTI.
We love you, George Iceman.
As a result, our best pal, George Iceman, is without a job. Or is he? Because he was representing Ash by Elegance at Hard to Kill. And I'm very excited to watch George step out of the suits game and pop into the game of elegance. Anyway, so Ash by Elegance is not Tony Storm, so stop being weird. This is great. Who? I don't know. She's going to kick someone in the box. Anyway, she is a whisper carried upon a breeze. As she passes, accumulating momentum, her caress raises goosebumps, pinprick kisses, reminder of a singular presence. She is a hurricane force of nature, undeniable, irresistible, unforgettable. She is Ash by Elegance. So basically, she's a perfume line Cresta star.
I gotta tell you, I gotta wait till I see it in ring because I thought this promo was weird. That's what I have. Like, this was just weird. It was shot well. Like, it looked like a Calvin Klein commercial, but everything they were saying, I was like, I don't know if she's wrestling, if she's selling perfume or feet pics. I don't know. I'm gonna let it get to in ring because I could tell you, this was very weird. I don't know what was going on here.
It was just funny to watch because it was so well done. But it means nothing. And she's going to be wrestling at the tapings this weekend in Orlando. So we'll get a better idea of what Ash by Elegance is about. I would love Ash by Elegance to be part of a larger faction. People who surround themselves with her. It could be Jay Vidal. It could be basically the Shantaraj. If you inevitably turn Giselle Shaw babyface. And we're about to talk about Giselle Shaw. But I wouldn't mind seeing the Shantaraj align with Ash by Elegance and see just an extended family of elegance, of decadence. And I don't know who else fits. Maybe the chat has ideas, but it would just be fun to do a brand around Ash by Elegance.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to discredit it. I just thought the promo just wasn't really I say it wasn't for me. I just didn't understand the goal of it, but I'm going to let it go into the ring. I'm going to see what it is, the presentation on TV. The backdrop was beautiful. I will agree with chat with there. The backdrop was beautiful.
I think the idea here is that you're going to get a slow burn with who she is. And this is just, when they introduced her as such, the idea, like immediately when I saw that her name was Ash by Elegance, I'm like, oh, they're going to do a fashionista kind of perfume line. Like it was going to be a ripoff of like Calvin Klein or something by something. That's what it always
Britney Spears, early 2000s.
Kinda, but like it was just more about that high fashion, like that BS type of mentality. And that makes for a great heel, especially with wrestling. Better than you, not MJF, but just I'm wearing good gear. I'm wearing the nice.
I'm expensive. You're poor.
Yes.
Have and have nots.
Where is Kona Reeves? He needs to be part of this.
That is a name that I haven't heard in many a night.
You got to start watching Impact, or not Impact. You got to start watching NXT with me, where all I say is, where's Kona Reeves in all of this? I'm just going to move on. Giselle Shaw and Giselle Shaw and Gail Kim are backstage. Giselle Shaw won the Ultimate X. She's guaranteed Knockouts title match. And in comes Gail Kim. She congratulates Giselle Shaw and asks, wasn't it a coincidence that the Shantaraj wasn't there and you won? And Giselle Shaw just gets annoyed and walks off. What'd you make of this promo, Cresta?
I mean, I like Gail Kim's intentions, but hear me out. I love Giselle Shaw as a heel. She's got that natural swagger about her where she's like, girl, I'm a piece of crap and that's okay because I'm the best. I love that. Gail Kim, that's stop meddling. Let her be evil. I like what Gail was trying to do because like you did it by yourself. You didn't need these guys. And a lot of the time when they're there, you be losing. But also she wins. So Gail, mind your business.
There is a potential match with Gail and Giselle Shaw down the pipeline.
I don't want to see that because then Gail Kim has to win, but I don't want Giselle Shaw to lose.
She doesn't. Why does she have to win? It could be a big moment for Giselle Shaw.
Because I like Gail Kim and I'm biased.
How many times should Savannah Evans powerbomb Gail Kim? Asks M.A. Solko.
Why when I read that, all I could see is Savannah Evans hitting the Wardlow.
That's what I was going to say. The Powerbomb Symphony. So how many Powerbomb Symphonies are we talking here? Are we talking 7, 8, 20?
As many power bombs as Heath has kids.
Wow, that's a lot of kids. I don't know if we can do this. We're going to try, though. Dex Baker saying, to be fair, I was very down on Giselle Shaw based on her debut vignettes. I'll give Ash a chance. And I think that's the best way to look at it. It's okay to be a little skeptical about anybody when they first come in, and maybe the presentation isn't as strong as you thought it would be, or maybe it's not for you. Let their actions and let the creative kind of speak to you. And either you'll love it or you won't. Or you'll find somewhere in between. We sat here for weeks, back when we started doing the show, talking about Giselle Shaw not being nearly as good as she is now, both in ring, out of the ring, the character development, just the commitment to what she does. It's evolved so incredibly well over the last few years.
I completely agree. You can see that with a lot of wrestlers who come in, whether you have Kevin Knight, or someone like Sheldon Jean, or even someone like Giselle Shaw or Trinity. People come in where you have a notion or you don't know about them, and they are completely different or given a chance to flourish. Even Eric Young, if you only know them in one place or not know them at all. So that is one thing I will give to TNA Impact. They will always get the benefit of the doubt from me. I may not get it at first, but I know I'm going to eventually get it.
By the way, you mentioned Kevin Knight. He's got a great match next week that I look forward to talking about with everybody. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Tasha Steelz takes on Xia Brookside. This is Xia Brookside's debut singles match for TNA. They definitely see something in her because they have her going up against the former Knockouts World Champion Tasha Steelz, and they had her beat Tasha Steelz, and they're running this back at the Orlando taping. So they're starting a little something between Brookside and Steelz. Good, solid match. This was a fun opener when we were watching it live. They clearly want to make Brookside this big time white meat baby face, and I get it. She's got the look for it. Commentary did mention Ash by Elegance and her thoughts on that, which I thought was interesting because they didn't really mention that anywhere else in the broadcast. And eventually Xia wins with the Brookie bomb. What do you think of this match?
Again, it is not lost on me that the first two matches were the X Division match and then the Knockouts match. And this to me was a clash of old Knockouts versus the future of Knockouts. And like you said, it was very shocking, for me at least, to see Xia Brookside get the win. The girl can wrestle. I'll give her flowers. The girl can wrestle. She's a little scrappy young lad, if you will. I thought Tasha Steelz was going to win that. What a good match. I loved it. Let me look at my notes, because this again is another one of those matches where I don't have a lot of notes, because between the monkey flip and that big ass pump kick, I was just like, oh my God, I have to pay attention. Like the 6-man. This was, not to sound cliche, total nonstop action from beginning to the end. I'm sorry, one of my cats, the fat one, Bully Ray, just darted across my green screen. My apologies, y'all.
That's amazing. And by the way, sometimes a 6-minute match can just be a 6-minute match, right? This is a setup. We haven't seen Xia Brookside on Impact Television, but TNA Impact Television. So now is the opportunity for us to just get a taste. I don't necessarily love that it's Tasha Steelz who's, eating the L there, but I do hope that there's some sort of story, or that they're working on something with Tasha, because we've seen her kind of shift in and out of TNA over the last little while.
Yeah, I would love to see something long-term for Tasha Steelz in TNA. I think it's been a very long time since we've seen something long-term with her or any sort of storyline. And I think she is someone who's a great addition to any locker room, especially the Knockouts division.
Exactly. Let's keep going. Joe Hendry, of course, got to follow up on the Cheez-Its fiasco from Hard to Kill from the Countdown. Really, the important thing here is that he beat up DJ Who Kid and put him in a trash bin. Poor DJ Who Kid. What did he ever do?
He hit him with the laptop. He had this coming. That old man had it coming. You should have minded your business. You should have sat there and ate your Cheez-Its.
That's true. Let that be a lesson to you folks. If someone gets in your way, just mellow out and have some Cheez-Its.
I mean, AJ Francis is the Cheez-It champion, and he's the best one they've ever had.
One of my greatest regrets from my Steve Macklin interview is that we didn't get to break bread or Cheez-Its together.
You're an idiot.
Yes, I am. But either way, I like that Henry and AJ Francis are on a collision course. I like that they're not going to put Dalla on the screen every single week. I think this will be a very fun match between those two. They're comedy acts, but they're very good wrestlers. I'm looking forward to Henry and Francis. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I don't. I'm ready to see where this goes.
Grizzled young veterans defeat Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young. Multiple stories playing out here. GYV definitely want to go after those TNA World Tag Team Championships held by Ace of Base. And of course, the big news coming out of the match, Frankie Kazarian turning on EY. Eric Young is a lone wolf again.
Lone wolf.
And Kazarian takes out Eric Young. This is a good feud. I'm excited to see Kazarian and Eric Young. They'll tear it up for a little time in the mid card. That's cool. Kazarian is going to he wants a big 2024. I think everyone does. I mean, that's why you're here. But I think there's a good opportunity for Kazarian to fill a mid card heel spot that maybe isn't as effective or in the TNA roster right now. What do you think of? Let's start with the turn and then we can talk about the match. What do you think of Kazarian turning on his partner Eric Young?
It's different. I think I've only ever seen Kazarian be a good guy. So I think it's nice to see him do something different. And Eric Young, it kind of organic. You lost at Hard to Kill. And you lost tonight. Eric Young took the pin. But I mean, Kazarian, he was getting worked all match. He was getting beat up. So I'm a little indifferent. I'm ready to see where that goes. I agree with you in the sense of there is a mid-card heel position that needs to be filled. Because I guess Moose and Eddie Edwards and Myers, who were those mid-card heels, are now in your main event because Moose is the champion. So you need someone like a Kazarian, and then you've got an organic feud with a tag team that's already lost twice, and you're sick of his crap. 2 TNA originals, you can get your nostalgia. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't hate it. I would, again, like to see where it goes. And more Eric Young on my screen, yes, please.
As it pertains to the match, GYV, very smooth, very good in the ring, great smack talk. I love the assisted sliced bread on Kazarian. That looked great. And of course, they hit Grit Your Teeth on Eric Young. Grit Your Teeth just looks like a double big rig lung blower, whatever you want to call it. And it's a solid move. It works. Those tag team maneuvers like that, those double moves, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. With GYV, they make it work. But when I look at it, I'm just like, yeah, but is this the one you have to use? Otherwise, it's fine. Listen, they like it. People like it. It looks like cool. It looks like a cool move. That's good enough. So yeah, that's the match. I don't know if you have anything to add. It was just a very well-paced, well-worked tag team match.
Yeah, no, I have to give all the flowers to Grizzled Young veterans, especially James Drake, that he is so good. It's kind of crazy seeing them. I got to see them at House of Glory and then seeing them here twice now in TNA. It's kind of crazy WWE didn't do more with them. You know, that's really crazy. To me, it's like an FTR situation. How do you not? Maybe it's something I'm not seeing, but I see 2 very fine wrestlers. You know what I mean? I see some good tag team wrestlers. So I don't understand. I'm very happy for them. I think this is a good injection into the TNA tag team division. But these guys are really, I gotta give Grizzled Young veterans their flowers. They are really good. They're so good.
They are very good. And you know, here's the thing with wrestling. It's a TV show, and everyone's filling a role. And when the role is already filled by somebody you've had on your roster for years, then if a similar character filling a similar role comes along, you might not use them. GYV are fantastic wrestlers. They're a fantastic tag team. Their characters already existed in the WWE system, right? International Brawlers, the Brawling Brutes. I'm not trying to say that Brawling Brutes are to the same caliber as GYV in the ring, but my point is really that they had that sort of character already established and building. So GYV didn't fit because it was already a cast character. So now they have the opportunity to go elsewhere, do their thing, and enjoy it. And hopefully they continue to see a lot of good stuff because they are a fantastic tag team.
Yeah.
They didn't fit whatever casting WWE had for them. That's kind of where I am at.
That's fair. Oh, I also wanted to put over commentaries, especially Ray Walt saying the grizzled young veterans versus some grizzled veterans. That was pretty funny.
It's very accurate too. Let's talk about the system. They are eating at a fine American eatery in Las Vegas.
Speaking of a system, you know what I mean? Like, speaking of the system.
I do wonder where they were eating because it didn't look familiar. They made it very nondescript, and I have to applaud that. It's probably one of the restaurants at Rio. Anyway, they put themselves over. They said Okada should be running scared because the system works and nobody will slow them down, not even Nic Nemeth, because they're talking about the 6-man tag that they have next week with Okada and the Motor City Machine Guns. Moose, this is great. This is my favorite part of the whole promo. Moose says, I don't want to be known by any other moniker. I want to be known only as TNA World Champion. And then they do You Can Always Trust the System. What did you think of this segment? Because that one line, that no more monikers line, was something I was waiting for out of Moose. Easy.
I mean, I don't hate that. It wasn't my focal point. I do like, okay. How can I articulate this? Because I feel like it's going to sound like a backhanded compliment, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. On the one hand, I don't like that Eddie Edwards is in another faction. However, this faction is really good. I liked it from the word go. That being said, Moose saying no more monikers, but to then just go by Mr. TNA World Champion. I'm like, but then that is a moniker. You know better than I. Moose,
it's not a moniker. It's not a moniker. He's the world champion. He literally carries the title. He won it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't hate it, but he
didn't win the wrestling god. He didn't win the 5-tool athlete or whatever, the 5-star player, whatever he called himself. All of those monikers, he gave them to himself or he earned them from somebody else. He won the TNA World Championship. He is the TNA World Champion. That's the only moniker that matters.
I mean, I could dig it. I just meh. That's just me. Just meh.
That's fair. Dobby the Brain Heenan sent a super chat saying GYV added to the roster page and promoting TNA a ton on their socials, hoping for the GYV signs with TNA graphics soon. Adds so much to that division. You and I, Cresta, talked about this before the rebrand. GYV coming in as a potential act to TNA. It seemed like it was inevitable, and this is a good fit for them. They clearly have enjoyed their time so far. It's only been one set of tapings, 2 nights. They will be at Orlando's tapings this weekend. But yeah, listen, if they can pick them up and have them work to the same schedule that they want, then you're good. Keep them on. Make them tag team champions if they... This was something that I spoke to SP3 and I over on True Heel Heat. We did a Hard to Kill pre-show of our own. And SP3 was adamant about, this is going to be the same thing where a former WWE team comes in and they're going to win the titles that they, are challenging for. And that's just what happens. And I said, no, I don't think that this is what they want to do with GYV. I think this is a slow burn, and that's what happened. They didn't win, and it feels like they're going to be in tag title contention, but it's going to take some time. And if this is how they want to keep GYV around, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think there's enough tag teams now, especially I don't know if they're still like in talks or would want to lock them down because Danny Lunas is now a part of TNA. Subculture coming in. Subculture, ABC, you've got Motor City Machine Guns, you've got the Rascals. There's a whole bunch of tag teams now where you can get a really good tournament, really good what's the word I'm looking for? Competition.
Yeah, you just get a good round robin, good group of guys going after.
You have like a good breadth of roster, whatever it is. Y'all know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think, yes, that word. Thank you, Dad.
You're doing great, sweetie.
But I think that this is a great addition. And plus, you know how Impact give it up? Kushida comes in there. Now you got Time Machine and you got Time Jacket. People come and go. There's so much opportunity there. The tag team business is booming, baby.
I love what you just called them. Time Jacket.
Wasn't that their name when it's them and Kushida?
Jacket
Time. Time Jacket.
Time Jacket is just so much funnier. I think that there's a possibility that the other guys in Subculture come through. Mark Andrews is still injured. I don't know how long he's out, but he did announce at the end of the year, this past year, that he's taking some time to heal up. So that could be coming down the pipeline. I would love to see it once Mandrews is back to 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dani Luna is a great addition. We're going to see more of her next week. Looking forward to that. Nic Nemeth, let's talk about him. He came out, speaking of former WWE guys under contract. This promo, so live, Nemeth comes out. I'll say two things. One, he comes out in his Dolph Ziggler suit, aka the black suit, black shirt, pink tie, and then there's the music. Can we talk about the music real quick?
The music reminded me.
It's sleazy 80s hair metal. That's fine. It
sounded menacing. It sounded like were we hearing the same thing? Because it kind of sounded like Kanosuke. Yo, my brain said I'm not doing it. I can't. Gotcha. My apologies.
Just say Takeshita.
I don't know what was happening right now. It's late. My apologies, y'all.
You haven't done a late show in a week.
I'm old. That's what I'm going with. I am old. But it was just menacing to me. I'm so used to hearing the I kind of wanted something upbeat. I know they weren't going to get that, but I don't know.
Same band, by the way. Downstate does everybody's theme. Cody Rhodes, Nic Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, that's Downstate too. They do others. They're Matt Cardona's. They do his. There are a few others. Chris Van Vliet, his show is about to be Downstate song theme. So there you go. Well, the one I like the song. It's fine. Please, can you get rid of the zipper intro? I'm taking my dick out zipper intro. It's not great. That part is. I get that in wrestling you need that one little like hits, like with Okada because he's in the conversations right now. It's the clip and the coin drop. I get that. Or the people like the sword sheathing with the
and like the Miz is awesome.
Yeah. You don't please put the zipper away, especially because if you got to listen closely. It's a zipper and then very clearly a woman going, oh, and it's very, very strange, especially in a room full of people.
All I can think of is when you said that Bobby Fish, and I mean, where's the lie?
Miz is another one who has a downstate theme. So there you go. Thank you, chat. Anyway, so Nemeth comes out. He talks about working a specific style for 20 years and it's time to branch out. And he's nervous and he's excited. And it's a very like post WWE promo. It's fine. It's not a problem. He wants to do it the right way. He wants to earn his way to a title shot. He just doesn't want to come out and immediately challenge like others have before him. Very white meat babyface. It works for him. And then out comes Steve Maclin. I'm not going to do the bit because, quite frankly, I think this was really, really strong and really, really good. And I think Steve Maclin is the perfect first foil for Nic Nemeth because he comes out, he says he agrees with Nemeth. They had similarities coming out of WWE and trying to find themselves coming into the Indies. But then he calls Nemeth a phony. And Nemeth tries to respond. And every time he tries, Maclin just keeps getting more pissed off. And when you're in the room live, watching that promo, you could hear a coin drop because people were just glued to how awkward it was between those two. Like just the tension was there. It was palpable. Maclin says Nemeth is going to suck the blood out of TNA and then leave and go somewhere else. And Maclin won't let it happen. And then at the end of the day, they're not going to ask what happened to Nic Nemeth. They'll ask what happened to Dolph Ziggler. I liked it. They're calling the zigzag the danger zone. No.
Highway to the danger zone.
Please stop.
Gonna take it my way.
Please don't call it the danger zone. That's all I'm asking you, please. People were calling it knick-knack on the internet. Because it was a zigzag. Well, because it was a zigzag, and now he's not Dolph Ziggler, so you got to call. So he's Nic Nemeth, so call him the knick-knack. I care.
Mean, honestly, the knick-knack is kind of funny, but I'll think it's knick-knack, paddywhack.
That's fine. Give a zig a zone. The danger zone is not it. Please don't call it the danger zone, please.
I mean, the danger zone wouldn't be bad, but you got to get the Top Gun theme.
That's all it is. 80s motherfucker. Anyway, let's talk about this segment because I thought this was very strong, and I'm looking forward to Nemeth more now than I was after Hard to Kill.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me.
I mean, I I understand after seeing, like you said, a lot of these post WWE promos. I got it with Sting, I got it with Trinity, and now I'm getting it with Nic Nemeth. What a heel. Steve Maclin, what a heel. Let this man have his moment. I could understand the tension because when people come back from leaving WWE, doing something new, in the promos, it is a little awkward because they're just like, yeah, I want to talk like we're having a conversation. It's not a conversation. It's a promo battle. Put your mic down. Put your mic down. I've had it with you and I don't care. But I'm like, Macklin, even you did this. Even you did this to an extent. You know what I mean? So then it's good. I like Macklin versus Nic Nemeth. I think that's going to be a great heel versus I want to be the very best. And if you're going to beat someone, why not beat somebody who had one of the strongest streaks in 2023? Somebody who could have feasibly, who we were campaigning to beat Josh Alexander at the beginning of 2023, 2022, going into 2023 before Alexander got injured. You know what I mean? So I think this is great. And if Nemeth comes out on top, which I'm pretty sure he will, it's going to be a good look. And I don't think it damages Macklin in any way, shape, or form.
And I fully agree. So let's get real quickly. Nemeth is going to have to go through several TNA talent to get to a world title match immediately. So he's got Zachary Wentz this next week. That's announced. The Orlando tapings, they announced Trey Miguel. So his Rascals tag team partner is going to face Nic Nemeth. Macklin is very clearly the match, at least presumably no surrender coming up in February. Alex Shelley is most likely going to be one of those people because Shelley is the latest former world champion. Shelley's going to go after Moose, probably at no surrender, have their rematch. If that happens, then let's say Moose retains. I could see the next pay-per-view Rebellion, Nemeth goes after Moose, or Nemeth and Alexander. Now this is where it gets interesting. Because of what Macklin said about Nic Nemeth turning heel, or about Nic Nemeth piecing out, sucking the blood out of TNA. What if Macklin's right? What if Nemeth goes and wins the title and is basically like, I'm just going to hold on to this thing. Like, I don't need this thing. He becomes Dolph Ziggler. He becomes that asshole. And then Josh Alexander has to win the title back for TNA.
I kind of feel like you could have Moose fill that, even though Moose is Mr. TNA right now. You can still have Moose fill that. I get what you're saying, but I kind of don't like that.
Moose never wanted to leave. Moose has never threatened to leave. Nemeth came in and he's the newcomer and he's a little too excited to be a part of TNA. He's a little too into the idea.
I mean, I can see where you're going. He could be somebody like, I see what TNA has done for others. TNA do the same for me. And once you raise my stock, I'm out of here. Like the whole I'm here to make money gimmick. But it's giving babyface. I feel like TNA maybe right now has a lot of bad guys, if you will. Not too many baby faces, you know?
It's a slow burn, though. He's not coming in and immediately doing it. He wins the title, and that happens as early as Rebellion, which is in April. We don't know how long his contract is, by the way.
Fair.
And he can basically say, look how it worked for Trinity. Look what happened to her. She revived her career, became a whole new woman, and now she went back to WWE and got a huge money contract. That's what I'm trying to do. But we find that out a little bit later. And if we don't do that, then Frankie Kazarian is the first challenger for Nic Nemeth's world title.
Not Frankie Kazarian.
I mean, he just came out of the as the new big heel.
I mean, I would honestly say that Nic Nemeth would have to go through essentially the system to get to Moose. So that's going to be a very long, slow burn if they do it.
Yes, and I agree. I don't hate that idea that he has to go through Edward Edwards and go through. Oh my God, blanked on Brian Myers for a minute.
Yeah.
That also seems inevitable. Those are two TV matches to me, and that's fine. But yeah, Moose and Nemeth, as we get Cat, is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Even if Nemeth loses here, I don't hate it. It kind of gives me the Nick Aldis situation where if he wins, okay, don't hate it. If he loses, also okay. Don't love it, don't hate it.
It's so very funny that no, yeah, I'm not gonna say it. It's fine. Nemeth being the heel would work. I just love the idea of Macklin afterwards. If Nemeth turns heel, being like, told you, I told you what would happen, and he just gets more of an asshole because of it. Let's move over. Jordan Grace is with Gia Miller. Jordan puts over their match with Trinity at Hard to Kill, and then in walks Trinity, and she says, "Congratulations, I have a contractually obligated rematch for the Knockouts World title, and I'm cashing in next week, so that's official. Jordan Grace versus Trinity for the Knockouts World Championship next week." I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Nope, simple and effective.
Wonderful. Speaking of simple and effective, Jay Vidal comes out. I love this because he is a Vegas local. He made his break in Vegas, and then he turns heel on the crowd, says, "Now I see why I left." Issues an open challenge, gets squashed by PCO. PCO's new contract includes him being revived after each time he appears because contractually he is dead and PCO cannot die. This match was quick, easy. PCO wins.
Got to get your hometown talent on the show. You know what I mean?
Can't wait until PCO challenges for the X Division World Championship.
Disgusting. PCO versus Jake something.
Motor City Machine Guns are backstage. They cut a quick little promo that really just ends with Kazuchika Okada walking in and saying, "Next week, I'm back." And that was that. Looking forward to Okada next week. Looking forward to the conversation that's going to drive. I'm going to spend the next week saying Okada to TNA and watch people lose their minds.
Honestly, I live in a world where Okada could be on a show that I'm covering every week. I live in that world. Like, come on now. Or even if it's just for 2 weeks. Like, what a time to be a wrestling fan. No matter where you stand on some of these people, big names are not where you think they'd be. What a time.
What a time. Sorry, I'm reading chat.
It's okay.
Don't worry about Trinity. She's going back. Nic Nemeth wouldn't be there if she was sticking around. I'll put it like that.
I'm not gonna hold you. I don't want her to go back just because I've seen what she's done when she bet on herself. And I would just hope that if she does or when she does, WWE treats her with the respect that she deserves, because her run in TNA Impact was really stellar. It was really good. And I think if you only knew her in WWE and getting to see her go to Impact and flourish, fantastic. I know we'll never get an apology as loud as the disrespect was. So I hope that check is just as loud as that disrespect was, because she absolutely deserves it. And give her props. Give her time to shine. I don't want her to get misted in the face and then she's chasing for the 24/7. That's just my piece. Thank you for your time. I'm getting off my soapbox.
I will say this. I would love for Trinity to come in, be Naomi for the first few months until WrestleMania, and then when Jimmy and Jay have their WrestleMania match one-on-one, she aligns with Jimmy, turns heel. The glow is gone. She doesn't necessarily have to join the bloodline, but she makes Jimmy Uso a more serious competitor, because Cresta star behind every successful man is
a strong woman.
A strong, successful woman. Next week on TNA Impact, Trinity takes on Jordan Grace for the Knockouts World Championship. Motor City Machine Guns team with Kazuchika Okada take on the System. That's Moose Myers and Edward Edwards. And of course, Nic Nemeth makes his debut against Zachary Wentz. That's what's announced. The other matches on the card, I can tell you, are very, very fun. So looking forward to talking about those. Now let's get into the main event for real. Josh Alexander takes on Will Ospreay. He beats Will Ospreay. My God. We expected it. We saw it. Like we said at the opening, this opens up a third match down the line for Ospreay and Alexander. This was a match. One thing that I love about doing this show with you, Cresta, is that you have pulled this out a bunch of times where I've been like, oh my God, I didn't even think about this. And that is the match in thirds. And this was a match in 3 parts. The first half of the match was even. The first third, I should say. The second third of the match is Ospreay demolishing Josh Alexander. And the big finish from Alexander for the win is what got us to the end. Watching this live, I watched Will Ospreay beat the living tar out of Josh Alexander. And all I can say was the comeback is going to be huge, isn't it? And that's exactly what they did. Let's talk about the match. They did so many fun and innovative spots. And also they call back a few times. C4 Spike gets the win. Let's talk about it.
Watch this episode of TNA from top to bottom, especially at the bottom. The top was heavy too, but especially at the bottom. This match was so good. There were so many good spots. There was a C4 Spike on the ramp. There were like Joel said, in the middle of this match, Josh Alexander was getting the tar beat out of the Canadian maple syrup beat out of him, bro. He had to hulk up, and I don't know what the equivalent to Canadian hulking up, poutine up. I don't know. I don't know anything about Canada, but he did that. What a match. What a match. That table spot, disgusting. A Falcon Arrow, Tiger Drive. I don't know what that was, but it was nasty. It was nasty. That whole match, my notes are just caps lock. I don't know how to tell you besides those caps lock. If this is what TNA was when y'all were watching back in the day, I am so happy to be a TNA fan because holy hell, this was so good. I'm going to say a couple of spots here because I stopped I stopped writing after that. There was the surprise Spanish fly, a pile driver on the ramp, an ankle stomp into he did the ankle lock into the ankle stomp and then to the ankle lock again. The Storm 93. Please watch this. I cannot stress enough how good this was. It was good the first match. It was good the second match. And this is also a testament to how good Will Ospreay is because Will Ospreay versus Speedball also slapped too. So
they are going to put this matchup in its entirety if they haven't already. I'm looking now to see if they've done it. Mm-hmm. Not yet. They put up the Nic Nemeth addresses the world segment. But I can almost guarantee you that Ospreay versus Alexander will be up either by the end of tonight or by the beginning of tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, like honestly, what a good match. Honestly, I cannot stress enough that if you have any preconceived notions about what Impact and TNA is, I feel you, because if this is what you were getting to get what you got at the end, I'd be pissed too. But give Peace a chance. Give Peace a chance. This was so good. Hard to Kill was a very good introduction to TNA, and this being the follow-up, TNA is back. Because after this, we got Scott D'Amore. Your dad was fired up tonight.
We'll talk about that in just a sec. Someone in the chat's asking, could the third match be at the G1? So, after the first match between Ospreay and Alexander, Ospreay did famously say, you would be great in the G1 tournament in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And a lot of us bit and said, like, that would be great. And I think Josh does want to do a G1. That being said, I wouldn't do that in the G1 because then they would face off presumably in the round robins, unless they're in different blocks and they have the block finals. However, both men are not signed to New Japan Pro Wrestling, so it wouldn't really make sense for them to do that. I don't know where the rubber match would be. All signs might even point to AEW at this point. However, both matches have taken place in Impact and TNA, so it would make sense to just do the third at home. I don't know where they can do it, and I'm sure that the conversations will be ongoing when they decide to pull the trigger, but I don't even know who would win in this case because they've made a very good excuse to have either man go over.
I'm thinking the next big pay-per-view, if they want to drag it out that long.
I think they'll drag it out longer than that. I would probably do it even at Bound for Glory, because remember, Ospreay isn't officially working AEW until February. The next TNA pay-per-view is in April, like the pay-per-view, not a special. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't even do it at Rebellion. I would probably do it I'd probably do Bound for Glory, or I would do it maybe if you want to do Slammiversary in July, you could.
Oh, Slammiversary would probably that'd be a good match for Slammiversary. But plans could, that would be a really good match for Slammiversary.
Plans can change.
Bound for Glory doesn't sound bad. Not going to hold you, but I feel like, and maybe this is just me, I could see them with all this TNA nostalgia focusing on the Bound for Glory tournament if they brought it back, and something like that would be better at Slammiversary, because Slammiversary, for all intents and purposes, is a WrestleMania. So
either way, the match is great. Go out of your way to see it. Whenever Josh Alexander rips off the headpiece, it just adds to the drama. They do the hidden blade collapse. That's always good. Alexander does a good dead cell, and I thought that was just really, really fun stuff. You mentioned the Os cutter into the pile driver on the stage. It was wild live. And then, of course, the styles clash. They tease it on both sides. Josh gets it this time. And then after getting the 2 count, you got Ospreay flipping off Josh Alexander to get to that C4 spike and they'll win. I love the finish. Again, these two men put this match together themselves, and they did a great job. Scott D'Amore comes out. He talks about how much he's loved wrestling since he was 4 years old, how he's worked in WCW, how he's worked everywhere in the world, and how, he's been given chances, and then he watched fans, and he's watched people like Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay pump blood into the effing hearts of wrestling, because he had to drop an F-bomb. And they said the feeling never died because it gave everyone something to live for, puts over the weekend, puts over the match, says if I die tomorrow, I'm happy because this was the largest weekend, largest gates, so on and so forth. They made commentary on that as well. And then hugs and hand raising. Everyone I spoke to this weekend who works for TNA, they all agree that this is authentically Scott D'Amore.
Yeah.
The locker room morale is very high. They're all feeling good, and they should coming out of this. And what I love most is that they're not focused on what they're doing right now. They're focused on what happens after the honeymoon period is over.
Yeah.
And I think that is very, very good news for anyone who's about to follow TNA. The idea that they are going to put their best foot forward beyond the hype, because that's when it's going to get tough. And some weeks we're going to sit here and we're going to be like, that was shit. And that's fine. But right now they did a pretty good job. First night of Impact. They did a good show. What do you think?
Honestly, when Scott D'Amore was out there, I felt that. Again, I did not watch the original TNA into Impact. I know blips and pieces, and of course I'll come on here and I'll quote Steiner Math, or I'll say, Taz my balls, but wasn't there. I wasn't watching. I didn't get to see young Christopher Daniels, young Frankie Kazarian, AJ Styles with short hair, the main event Mafia. So to hear all of these old catchphrases and to see Scott D'Amore saying that people thought this was dead because of poor decisions not made by wrestlers, or people not getting what they thought they would just deserve, and to see people like Will Ospreay not give up on it, people like Josh Alexander not give up on it, the Impact faithful not give up on it, it brings a tear to his eye. And I can see it. I could see it. I felt it. I honestly, again, if I was a TNA fan, seeing what happened to it, knowing the history, I would be upset too. But I think that Scott D'Amore at the helm has done something really special here, and I have to applaud him. Like, when people talk about Booker of the Year, it kind of boils my balls that Scott D'Amore is never in the conversation. And he really should be. He really should be. Like I said, people thought this brand was dead, and it's not. And we're back, and we're not going anywhere. So give this man his flowers. He's really doing that. Like, Impact and TNA is alive and better than ever. So, boop.
Looking forward to the next few weeks. Looking forward to the tapings in Orlando. If you're there, have fun. I can tell you that next week's TNA Impact episode is very good. We're going to talk about it. We'll be back here on Thursday. Cresta Star, what you got going on?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it at the top of this show. Well, that top of our show. I guess I'm going to be on Grapsody this Saturday. You can catch me the rest of this week. Saturday, I'm going to be on Grapsody in the morning. Then I'm going to be on AEW Collision Post Show with Rick and Iridian. We're going to talk about everything that happened on AEW. And every Wednesday, you can catch me on my personal channel, Cresta Star at twitch.tv. Twitch.tv/Cresta Star. TikTok.com/@CrestaStar, or you can follow me on Twitter at Cresta the Star, like Megan Thee Stallions, 2 R's, because I'm a pirate. You guys have been fantastic. Joe Pearl, where can they find you? Joe Pearl. Sorry.
Joe Pearl. I've been told that I miss Johnny Swinger in my potential Nic Nemeth feuds, and that's because we're gonna wait until Swingman comes back, challenges, and wins the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. We take our time here. This is a slow burn for old Swingman. Okay. We're bringing him back. 2024. Anyway, I'm at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. I'm in the weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on Fightful Overbooked. That's our sister channel, 10 a.m. until noon Eastern with Jeremy Lambert. We talk about everything in wrestling. We're obviously going to spend a lot of our time talking about Kazuchika Okada tomorrow morning, that being Friday morning, 10 a.m. And who knows what else. There's plenty to talk about. If you haven't left a thumbs up, do it now. If you haven't subscribed to us here at Fightful, what are you waiting for? Tell your friends about us. Tell your friends about the TNA Impact post show, because guess what? We're fucking back. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye.